The Silverstone single-seater experience leaves you thinking one thing. They really just let people come and do this? Are you sure? It's awesome, and if you're thinking of buying it for yourself, as a gift for someone else, or someone's buying it for you, you can rest assured that it's going to be a slam dunk. I recommend it to anyone with complete conviction because I myself have done it 4 times now. You just don't do that with experiences unless it's genuinely cracking. I consider it a must-do activity for anyone with even a whiff of a passion for racing that dreams of sampling a proper racing car. All of the ingredients are here and the Silverstone takes such good care of you that if you don't enjoy this experience, then to be brutally honest, it's going to be your fault, not theirs. Let me give you an idea of how the experience is run, along with some specific things you'll be glad to know ahead of time to make sure that you get the most out of your drive. Please check the video description for links to various places where you can buy this experience after you've watched. Using those links to buy your ticket will help support the channel, and thank you again for those that do so. When you think of driving experiences, you might imagine there's going to be an instructor next to you that won't let you put your foot down, change gears, go above 80 miles an hour and stuff like that. So you can say that you've been in a supercar on track, but you're not really sure that you actually feel like it. And some experiences are just out in the middle of nowhere in some airport or airfield with no real amenities to keep your guests comfy. Not the Silverstone single-seaters. You might not be in a prestigious 500 horsepower supercar or anything like that, but with these, you alone are responsible and you can go as fast or as slow as you feel comfortable with. The track you drive them on, Stowe Circuit, is an established permanent track that sits within the perimeter of the main Grand Prix circuit, with room on the straights to get up to 100 miles an hour, as well as different types of corners to let you feel just what they can do. They're not afraid to let you drive fast. The first step is getting there, and being a major fixture in the Midlands, there are plenty of signposts on the roads near Silverstone, and when you reach its doorstep there are clear signs and helpful marshals directing you to the drive centre, where the experiences are run. The check-in desk is inside the iconic Silverstone wing. Facilities are therefore great. The staff were really cheerful and clearly took pride in their care of you. Checking in was fast and they had enough staff to get it done inside of 5 minutes. I was called in for the driver briefing at the precise time the experience was due to begin, so don't be late. After around 20 to 30 minutes of an easygoing but detailed driver briefing, everyone in that session group, along with any guests that are there to watch, make their way over to the dedicated single-seater building on the other side of the Stowe Circuit. Whilst you're grabbing your safety kit, any guests that you brought along are guided by a member of staff outside as to what's happening next, and they're advised that they'll be able to get up close with you in the car and take pictures and stuff while you're sitting in it. This small fact is actually a big deal. It wasn't always the case that your friends or family could be this close to you as you sit in the car, but now they get to be right there with you and enjoy the fact that you are now sitting in a proper race car and you're actually going to be driving this thing for real. My wife Claire bought me this experience as a gift, and I was happy to see her walking right up to me, as I'd assumed that she was only going to be able to see me from the sidelines, 10 metres away or so. This experience may be all about the driver, but having the people that bought you this gift right there with you, laughing and talking to you, can calm your nerves and give both driver and spectator a reason to feel good. I love that they allow this now. As you're sitting in the car, you're strapped in tight to a smooth formula type seat that almost disappears as soon as your backside meets it, as does the front of the car, which feels impossibly small and exposed as you sit inside. The staff make sure you're comfortable and secure and run through some final checks to make sure you know what you're doing. Soon enough, your guests are made to vacate the area off to their vantage point, you flip your visor down, and it's finally time to flick the switch and turn the engine on. If you weren't already hyped up, you will be once you push that button. The whole car rumbles and growls as you feel it through your spine. There's no mistaking it now, this is no toy. You'll file out of a paddock and line up behind a pace car in multiple small groups, and you might stall it initially as it's a performance clutch, so my tip here is to just give it plenty of throttle, treat it like a vigorous hill start. It's a racing car, give it loads of revs just to get it initially rolling, or it will conk out on you and you'll get a bit embarrassed. Now the first 10 minutes on track are going to be spent behind a pace car in little groups of 3 or 4 depending on how many are in your session. The thing that you really need to focus on this pace car group, besides the obvious, drink it in, you are in a formula car now, on a track, on your own, it's exciting, but don't forget about that gearbox. It's a right hand side gearbox, but not only that, it has no synchro meshes, So you got to be fairly forceful with it or quick with it to get it into gear reliably every time. So it's easy to trundle around behind a pace car and not change gears because you don't need to, but if nothing else, get used to changing up and down the gears in this gearbox. Your arm's going to be feeling like it's reaching behind the back of the fridge. It's a cramped, tight cockpit, but this is all part of the fun. But the main point is practice changing your gears while you're behind the pace car. Don't leave it until the full speed session to work out that you actually can't get along with this gearbox at all. So put those 10 minutes to good use, change up, change down, get comfy with that gearbox, because it will make or break your session. If you don't get along with it, it could potentially hinder your fun, and you don't want that. When the 10 minutes of familiarisation are up, you'll file back into the paddock, ready to be released onto the track for the full speed session lasting 20 minutes. Now you're truly on your own, it's up to you from here. And the first thing you might feel is a sense that you really shouldn't be doing this, because here you are going full throttle in a 280 horsepower per tonne race car with nobody sitting next to you to rein it in. You grip the tiny Formula steering wheel as the car jostles you with little wiggles left and right as it follows the track surface, and you feel a metaphorical axe raised above your head when you reach the top of 4th gear on a long back straight, 100 mile an hour or so, picking the moment when you really should be slowing down. The long left-hander after the chicane gives your stomach that slightly hollow feeling as you throw the car in and let it turn as hard as it can, before you then enter the S's that lead you towards the end of the lap, buzzing each curb and clipping each cone marker, or trying your best to at least. The right-hand kink before the last corner comes at you so quickly, and you feel a tiny bit of uncertainty at the back of the car as you skim over the top of it. The track is so highly repeatable, such an interesting layout with all the corner types you hope to see on a typical day out. You've got slow turns that lead onto long straights where you reach high speeds. You've got fast chicanes that tip you from side to side in a blink of an eye. You've got heavy braking zones where you can feel the harnesses bite into your chest. You've got a long mid-speed corner that pins you to the side of the cockpit, and you've got those S's that feel so good to slice through, and that last right-hand kink tests your commitment as you fly into a braking zone whilst the car is still settling. It's a really interesting track that gives you a lot of variety, and those 20 minutes feel like a long time. Now, as this is a group activity, you won't be the only car on track. Up to around 12 cars can run at once, I believe, but with a lap of stow being around 1 minute or so long, that gives each car an average of 5 seconds of fresh air amongst them, and you can easily go multiple laps with nobody in front of you. When overtaking does need to happen, the 2 straights are the designated passing zones, and the marshals posted on track were flawlessly observing. I think I was especially lucky with a bunch of guys I shared my session with, as everyone was super courteous. I trust Silverstone above all others to call out any misbehaviour, but luckily there wasn't any to be seen. This probably isn't the sort of activity that would attract casual drivers that are just out to bump into their mates and have a laugh after all. This is serious stuff. When the time is up and the checkered flag is waved, you will park back up in the paddock and flick the ignition switch off to put a neat little lid on your high-speed adventure. You'll be sweating and smiling, and your guests will now be able to walk over and see your face as you lift their helmet off over your head and breathe. After my session, I was just flooded with adrenaline and satisfaction, because this was once again an amazing thing to do, and I was really glad that my missus was there to see me in my happy place. Now, Silverstone sells a photo and video package that goes along with your experience, but it's 60 quid, so it's not exactly peanuts. It's expensive enough to make you pause for thought. Is it worth it? Well, you judge for yourselves. You can see and hear it with your eyeballs and ear holes now. The 360 video is clever, but the quality isn't exactly amazing. The audio is more or less 95% wind noise, sadly. So it would be much improved if the cars were fitted with fixed lenses that give a clearer image from better vantage points, with a mic feed in the cockpit away from the wind so that you can actually hear the engine. If they did that and the quality improved, then this would be a solid buy all day long. As it stands, it's a cool memento to have, but you can judge for yourself whether you'd pay 60 quid for this. The 360 video does mean that you can watch it as though you're sitting on board and looking around, but as I say, it could be better. The photos are great, they definitely are as crisp as they're going to get, and you can practically see into your own soul. You get your photos and videos on an SD card directly after the drive, and it's nice and quick. You also get a copy of your timing sheet when you exit the car too. On the day I was actually second fastest overall, but I was beaten by a fellow iRacer, so I don't feel too bad about it. When I was inside the car, I was convinced this feels so fast, but there can't surely be anyone going quicker than I am now. It's not possible. Well, it was possible. The single-seater experience casts a glimpse into the world of real motorsport that to me, and all you folks like me, is like renting out a dream come true for a while. You'll be allowed to go as fast as you like, so long as you look like you're in control. There's nobody holding you back. This experience is also hardcore enough that, like me, you might just end up going back again someday to do it even better. There are much worse ways to spend 250 quid, so if you're in range of Silverstone and you've always wanted to drive something that actually resembles a hardcore race car, go for it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check the links in the description, leave a like and subscribe if you fancy it too. See you again.